So Mark the Movie Man here at the Midwest Weird Fest, and these fine gentlemen just had their film sneak peek, first in front of a public audience viewing. And we have Adam Seidel, is that correct? Adam Seidel, yeah. So Adam Seidel, and I'm sorry, you are?
Jackson Ezinga.
Jackson Ezinga, and you were the first AD, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. And you are?
Chad Miller, the Gaffer.
Gaffer.
Yep.
See, Gaffer's important because you hear duct tape, gaffer tape on set, right? And you're the guy to make sure that people don't trip on cords, among other things.
Among other things, but mostly that. Yeah.
So, Adam, we'll start with you. You had your first screening in front of a public audience. How do you feel about it? How'd it go?
Well, it's great, man. It's great to see it on the big screen and to see, just it come to life on such a large scale.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun to see the reactions, to see where it hits. The little moments of relief that are there. It's good, man. I couldn't ask for much more. It's awesome experience, man.
Now, what made you decide you wanted to take on this story? Of it's kind of a twist on your neo-noir, what we see for Conan brothers, because the character you think this is going to be about isn't actually who it ends up being about, who ends up being the heavy. Was that the appeal to it, or what was it with the script?
Yeah, the story is it actually started with me in college driving. I went to Colorado State University, which is, High Plains in Colorado. And we would, on Sundays, we would drive to Wyoming to go buy beer because liquor stores are closed on Sundays in Colorado. So anyways, we would drive out there on I-25 and, you'd go through the High Plains, no trees. You'd look out, east and you'd see just like a shack out on the horizon, with like a single car. Sure. And, that image always stuck with me. Of just like who is living in that shack, what is their life like, and I think that was the driving force. And then you started with the character, and then it sort of just wrote itself. I just stuck with it. So yeah.
Now with First AD, give a little bit of what a First AD does, because I think people watch the credits and they go, "Who's that?" So what does the First AD do? And
Sure. So the first AD takes the script and breaks it down into every element, like every prop, every makeup setup, every scene, and just kind of has to take all of those elements and put them into the schedule for the whole film. So we had 20 days to shoot this. I think it was a 111 scenes.
Yeah.
So we had to fit 111 scenes into 20 days of shooting. Yeah. And so it's my job to first do that, and then when we're actually shooting, make sure that everyone sticks to that schedule. So I'm kind of the guy who's cracking the whip a little bit.
Sure.
And just making sure that everything happens according to plan.
And what was the hardest scene, if you will, that you had to plan out, since that it was for you to break down? Which one was it that was a big challenge for you?
I think there were multiple scenes, and I think that what it really came down to was driving. Mm-hmm. And that's difficult really on any film because it takes a lot of time to set up. And there's so many factors involved with controlling traffic and everything like that.
And to reset.
And when you reset, you got to drive all the way back to where you started and then go back. So there's quite a few driving scenes in this. And luckily, where we were shooting was kind of in the middle of nowhere. So it wasn't as difficult as shooting downtown in the city or whatever. But driving scenes are always really difficult to do. But everything else, I felt like Adam Seidel and Adam Minnick, our director of photography, really planned out well. And when we got there, it almost seemed to just happen kind of before my eyes. So
nice. And for you, what was the toughest location to be the gaffer on? Because I've seen the work, and the shoot I was on, we were in a barn. It was summer, no heat. It was smelly. It was so for you, what was kind of the toughest location to do your job on?
I think anytime you're shooting on location, anytime you have small rooms, it is tough to light because you're very limited. And like in Hollywood, they'll have wild walls that can fly away, and then you can put the camera where you want, you put the lights where you want. It's great. You light over the top. When you're in actual houses, especially small houses like this, it gets tough where you can put things. But Adam Minnick, the cinematographer, is great at figuring out a shot. And then with Adam Seidel, they kind of like know the shots. They're not going to try and shoot here and here and here. It's like it's planned out. It's going to come in here. We block, we light, we shoot. And that makes it extremely easier in a small place like that, you know, to figure out where we need to be and where, you know, and we shoot like we're shooting on film. Like what's our exposure here? What's our exposure there? So yeah, Adam Minnick, the cinematographer, is really responsible for how good this movie looks. And he is also the person that hires me.
Oh, well, that had no influence whatsoever on that last part.
Yeah, unrelated, you know. Well, just it's information for your audience. Yeah, cinematographer hires the Gaffer.
Awesome, awesome. Now, for you, Adam, I noticed there's a specific, maybe it's just my bad vision, but there seemed to be a specific color palette you kind of used throughout the film, kind of a lot of browns, not like grays in that, but like browns and oranges in that. Was that intentional, and what was kind of behind that?
Yeah, well, you know, I think that was also a choice with Adam Minnick. Tungsten. That was the theme. It was always we want to go a little more tungsten, and I think it was really nice because you know we were working with a lot of wood paneling, woods outside, and it sort of gave a nice rich amber hue to everything. You know, I thought it was beautiful, and it did kind of, I think in some ways we were kind of going for like a classic feeling film, and so I think that only accentuated it. Yeah.
Yeah, if you hadn't brought up the line about a cell phone a couple of times, I would have put this at just about any period whatsoever. That's what I liked about it quite a bit with it. And also the cast that you had. Did it take a while to find the cast? Because the lead actress you got and the two lead for the brothers, but especially the actress, just nailed that part.
Yeah, I mean, well, Haley... it was like working with extraordinarily high caliber talent where you actually, I think directing in this film was getting out of the way. You know, I think at first, you know, I would explain when people wanted to like understand something, but I found the further we were getting along, the more I was like, they've got it, they understand the tone, they get the characters, they get the scene. I'm just going to shut up and like be over here. And if you have a question for me, that's cool. But otherwise, I'm just calling cues and I'm calling cut.
Yeah, because they worked out really well. And for the locations that you picked, took some time to find locations, or did Adam just go, you know what? I saw this place. That's where we're going to shoot.
I wasn't too involved in like the location scouting, but there were a few locations that when we were a few days away from shooting hadn't been completely locked yet. And as a first AD, that always makes me really nervous. But since we weren't local, we relied heavily on Safe House Pictures and all the producers there to help us out. And they pulled through. They got everything that we needed and were able to make everything just move super smoothly. So
yeah. I mean, I don't know if this is PG or R, but I'll say it. I mean, it was a total shit show finding places, and it's okay. You know, it's just when you have a limited budget, you know, and it's not, you know, talking poorly about anyone's effort. You know, everyone is like ride or die doing it. But yeah, it's like rough when you're trying to find specific locations and you find a great place and then you go into it and you discover that maybe the like owner of the place doesn't really want you to be in a certain room or wants to like still live in it. And it's like, well, we're completely moving your furniture out because it's a set. Well, no, I don't really want to do that. I kind of wanted to be there and I'll be there at like 4:00 every day. And you're just like, well, fuck. Okay, cool.
Don't go in the radio room.
Yeah, don't go in the radio room. Yeah. So you really do like work around stuff. And I think that's part of the beauty. And I think ultimately that adds to the project.
Sure.
Because it's just another thing that you have to like move past. And I think it leads to discoveries. So.
Yeah, and the locations you picked were excellent. And I'm going to I'm very impressed. When I saw Sean Gunn's credit in here, I was like, oh, cameo, because that's what happens with a lot of indie films. No slight to any films. It's just time, money, whatever. But Sean actually plays a bit of a longer role in here to the plot. How did that come about?
Well, so he's good friends with Jacob's novel. Not good friends, but they're like friends. They've worked and they dig each other. And yeah, like I said, he read the script and he liked it, and he was in between. So he had just wrapped on Superman, and which is coming out in August. So hopefully that
spoilers.
helps. Spoilers. James Gunn's directing. He's Maxwell Lord. Holy shit! Oh no, I shouldn't have said that. Oh, no,
He plays Superman. By the way.
He plays. Yeah, he's totally
He
Superman.
plays every role.
Yeah, they're all.
Yeah.
They're all shown.
Yeah. No, so he like read it, and it was really funny because, okay, it was like, yeah, Sean likes it and he wants to talk to you. It's still a long shot. So I do a call with Sean, that Jacob's on. It's a video call. And Sean, he gets on and he looks at me and he says, by the way, Anthony Mosley says hi. So Anthony Mosley is the artistic director of a theater in Chicago that I worked for 5 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I was like a writer in residence, and I was just sort of like a jack of all trades. And Sean is actually like close friends with Anthony because he went to DePaul School of Theater. And so that was like instant cred right there. So I didn't have to get vetted anymore.
Oh,
and then we
that's
just,
nice.
we just had a talk about the script, and he actually bounced some notes off me. But they weren't like, it's not like, okay, like the 5th scene is a piece of shit. Just rewrite it. No, it was like, no, okay, there's like this thing, and I just feel like maybe you went a little too far. And think about this. And he just left it at that. And he said, and I'll have to like think about it. I'll have to think. I'm not quite sure I want to do it. I want to think about it. And I was like, okay. And I looked at his notes, and I was like, I like that. And I did a rewrite based on it. And it was like a rewrite true to myself, not just doing it for him. And I sent it to him, and then like 3 days later, it was like, Sean's in.
And it was a little bit of a different role for him because Sean's usually in the goofy kind of roles, and this is a heavy role. I was like, wow.
Yeah, well, because he is kind of like a goofy character. Like his theme music was Bubba Sparks. And I was like, yeah, all right, if that's what you got to do, man. Like in the car, in that van, when he's, creeping on Haley, he was like, I imagine I'm just listening to Bubba Sparks. I'm like, okay, don't tell Bubba. But
Behind the scenes character.
behind the scenes character. Yeah. But no, so I think there was a goofiness. It's like a goofy person trying to be like an adult. And he gets like badly wounded. Stepping in over his depth. And he deserves it. I mean, it's sad, but when he puts that thing on the table, it's like, no, man, you just sealed your fate.
And I will say, in true neo-noir fashion, you're not quite sure how you're supposed to feel about these characters because on one hand, it's morally gray because on one hand, you're like, okay, that was wrong. But on the other hand, yeah, but. So how do you tread that fine line when you're writing and, directing it?
I mean, that's the thing. I don't make a judgment about any character. Like my favorite character is actually Sid.
Oh, yeah.
Hands down. I like them all, but I like Sid because I don't think Sid is necessarily bad. I mean, she does bad things, but, really like the whole thing is a manifestation of these two people becoming things that they either want to be or see themselves as. So, John, because of his guilt of what he thinks he's done to his brother, he ultimately becomes that thing that he's telling everyone he is. And Sid desperately wants to be like empowered and all these things. And she does, but it becomes totally like, mutated.
Sure.
And so it's like how humanity mutates, like a desire. And yeah, so no one's good, no one's bad. I think there's bad and good things that happen and people caught in the middle.
Excellent point. And just final question. We got who your favorite character was. Who was your favorite character?
Sean Gunn. Who did he play? Wade. Wade's my favorite character. Yeah. Redemption for Wade. I think he's a good dude down at heart. Audience, you decide.
Yeah. What's for dinner? Burrito from Maria's?
And what about you? Favorite character?
This is also partially because of the performer that played this character. But it's actually one of the smallest roles in the film, but we had this actress named Rita Scanlon come in to play the newspaper editor.
Oh, yeah.
I think she only has one line in the movie, but we shot a longer scene with her, and she was just so wonderful to work with and just such a sweetheart. And I think that it really comes through, even in her like 10 seconds of screen time is just like, she's great.
Well, I think you have a successful film on your hands. Thank you so much for taking your time. Where is it headed from here?
Well, we're hoping for, we don't have anything official, but we're hoping for Oklahoma. And we're looking at some things in Texas and some things in California.
Fantastic. And where can they keep up with where the film might be headed to next?
Well, that would be probably Texas, but we'll see.
Social media. Where can they?
Sure. I don't know. It doesn't have Instagram. So no, maybe I guess I have to make one.
That's how indie this is.
Yeah.
That's about movies, not about social media.
No online presence.
Safe House Pictures does have an Instagram account. They might.
That's why you hired a good first AD. Look at that. He's bailing you out.
Only there was a producer here. They would have been on. We just make movies.
You just make the movies. You don't handle that other stuff. No, right. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you, man.
Keep an eye out for it, folks. It's a wonderful film, and I'm so happy we're one of the first people to actually get to see it. So thank you very much.